think it's going to be a shorter stream at the moment, because it's daytime. Wow, streaming at daytime, not at 2 a.m. Amazing. But and also, wow, I look different. Ooh, I finally got rid of the experimental beard. Made me look like a character from this game. Um, anyway, let's launch Chronicles. Poggers Chronicles. Chronicles is very poggers. This can't be denied. And oh, I should probably check. Well, nah, that. There's that old man, right? That old man with the big chin. I'm trying to think what voice to give him. Because literally the first line is going to be him, probably. Um, who did I give the Birmingham voice to? Oh, right, Olive Green. Maybe I'll try and give that guy like a male version of. Like a weird. Nah. Okay, I'm just going to experiment and see how it goes. I've got some ideas, but my voice game is not on point. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but then the victim comes back to life. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that... Oh, my phone is buzzing. Video games. Ah. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shamspeare did consume poison, as we deduced. But it wasn't an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder. Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cells. Oh, what's this? What's that man doing over there? He the soap salesman? He looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me, could we have a word? He just ran off. I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? You too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again. A good idea! Why is it empty? Oh, we haven't set up yet. This must be the cup that Mr. Shamspeare was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. He does that, I'm afraid, even green tea. Really? I've never noticed before. You've never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear, so many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture, and most of them are Japanese. This is the teacup from which Mr. Natsume was drinking, supposedly. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. I suppose he must have drunk the contents before the tea had a chance to leave a mark. I always gulp it down too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper way to take tea. It's gone. Oh, what is it, Mr. Naruhodo? This bar of soap. When we first found it, I could have sworn there was some sort of round disc in this depression just here. A reddish one. Yes, you're right. I remember it too. But now, the depression is completely empty. Where could the disc have gone? Did the strange yellow man steal it? It's so weird. That's going to be one of those things that appears in a photo or something. That you just sort of have to keep your eye out for. Soseki-san is so terribly unlucky, isn't he? You can say that again. Suspected of 2 different murders in 2 days. I've never known any of this to be so badly in the wrong place at the wrong time so many times. I have. And I'm looking at him right now. You know, I hadn't really considered it much before, but I think you might be right. I have been quite unlucky in that respect, haven't I? Am I cursed? Oh no, Naruhodo-san, I'm sure you're overthinking it. These tanks are for keeping sea creatures. They're called aquariums, and they were all the rage in London at one time, apparently. Yes, the English are so clever, coming up with the idea of having ocean life on display in the home. And it means you always have an emergency midnight feast on hand, too. I'm not sure that's really the idea. I heard there's another room behind that door. Yes, it's my bedroom, Naruhodo-san, as you well know. Shall I help you unpack your things? That's very kind, but no thank you. Your luggage looked very heavy. Are you sure I can't help you move it? That's very kind, but really, no thank you. A young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets, you know? The only secret I have is a 5-yen banknote hidden on the backside of my Darumato. You say 5 yen? Whoa, did yen like just inflate insanely? When 5 yen used to be like... I would look this up, but I can't be bothered. Perhaps we should put this spade away somewhere. That's not a spade, Naruhodo-san. It's a shovel. No, shovel's for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. No, spades are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's just shovel. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? You're so right, Naruhodo-san. We mustn't quarrel over such trifles. On reflection, then, I think I'll leave this spade where it is. Yes, I think that's for the best. We may need a shovel when we're working in the garden. Why you can't inspect the VR bullet holes anymore. Shamspear will end up in this bed, right? Cell 9. Look, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? I've become a student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Oh, yes. What is he? Tell me. Is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Sholmes? He actually calls himself the Grey Detective, Mr. Natsume. Not a ghost. But his diabolical deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Oh, cursed. I'm cursed, I'll tell you. Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruhodo. You are heavily involved in the deduction too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh? The victim that we all thought was dead has come back to life again. Now, in the absolutely worst case, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible. Oh. I'm stuck in this cell, suffering for some silly wrong end of the stick. You did it, didn't you? Confess, you're a killer. Why the moustache? Constant questions. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that selfish shyster. Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Wickedly wishy-washy, William. Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shamspeare was never actually dead in the first place. Oh, yes, that might make sense. And I'm pleased he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think it was our last. Oh! Oops. Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shamspeare, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Oh, why am I cursed like this? How about take all my evidence? Have a look at every single piece. Have I shown you this before, Mr. Natsume? Oh, yes, that's the sweet, sweet aroma of our beloved homeland. It shows that the wearer is a defense lawyer. It means nothing in Great Britain, of course, but I still wear it. Oh, I know exactly how you feel, local student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Why, Haramaki belly band? I don't feel right without it. Your Haramaki belly band? It's perfect for the cold English winters. Just the thing to keep my tummy warm. Yes, I see the link. Almost. Mr. Natsume, about this receipt. It occurs to me now. And it was those confounded books that saw me arrested the first time too. Yes, I suppose that's true. After I spent my precious pennies on them. That's the thanks I get. Now I don't know when I'll read them. No, not when. If I may very well hate them too much to even open their covers. I don't know that we can blame the books for everything that's happened, Mr. Natsume. Mr. Natsume, it's nothing much, but... Oh, it's been too long since I've been offered a present with that delightfully humble etiquette of our homeland. But what? I wasn't hinting at anything. You're too kind. I accept it gladly. Sorry, but I wasn't trying to give it to you, actually. Mr. Natsume, what do you know about this? Oh, there it is! That lathery lowlife that took my neighbour's life and sent me sliding into the depths of despair. Oh right, the soap. Slippery, sickly, psychotic saboteur. You've really gone off soap, haven't you?
Absolutely, and I've made up my mind. Next time someone gives me a soap as a present, it's friendship finished firmly forever.
I don't know that we can blame soap for everything that's happened, Mr. Natsume.
I'm glad I'm going through this effort.
Mr. Natsume. Take that. But I'm just going to check that there's no achievements that I'm missing. Save me playing through the whole game again. Okay, the next part has spoilers in it, so. What happened? Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume?
There's nothing to tell, but Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday.
The case that saw poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. It's hard to believe that was only yesterday.
After the trial was over, I trudged my weary way back to my lowly lodgings, and that evening, at past 9 it must have been, I visited Mr. Shakespeare.
So you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared.
I didn't do anything wrong. I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time.
Then what made you decide to go?
I bumped into him when I arrived back at the house. We got chatting, and it developed into a discussion. But he had to go out, so I bade him farewell.
That ties in with what Mr. Garrett had said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. After 8?
We met again later that evening, but around 9 or after, when I took him some nice tea I'd brewed as a gift.
So it was you who brought the tea that had clearly been drunk at the scene then? And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet, who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate.
I'm sure.
Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare.
And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shakespeare's tea?
No, never. Not at all. Team Juliet won. That was me. And when I left his room, the flamboyant fellow was fighting fit. I swear it, categorically.
Okay, so he left, and then stuff happened. There was probably something he noticed that he just isn't recalling now, though. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. That you have a cursed existence.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now, and in that time, I've learned that it's no place for me.
It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of another culture.
There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. But even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember. And then, 1 week ago, I moved into Briar Road.
But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? Doesn't seem very comfortable.
Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me.
The rent?
Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed.
Cursed? Cursed how?
The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there.
Oh no!
He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead and no one can explain why.
Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that.
I didn't. When the letting agent recommended the place, I wavered. But I want books, and books cost money, and a horrible history. A horrible history is a small price to pay. When I've realised that it would mean I could buy more books, I signed the lease like lightning.
Brave or blinkered?
But after I moved in, I soon came to realise what I'd done. I realised how horrible that room's history really was.
Gosh, was it really so awful?
Horrible history.
That's it. That's got to be intentional, Janet Sue, right? How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened?
At first, it was just a feeling. The feeling of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me.
Do you think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you?
No. My mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given the keys to that place.
A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean?
All the souls who've died in that room lean over me in my sleep. And it's trying to strangle me.
That really is horrible.
And now I come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shamspit was writhing in agony from the poison in his body, I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room.
Is it poison gas? You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible.
Yes, you're right, I know it, and that's why. I'm already searching for the next room with a history to call home.
Isn't he heading back to Japan? Straight after this? I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodation with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history.
Oh.
Oh, Susato-san knows how to make the man listen.
Of course. Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well.
You mean Mr. Garadeb? Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, 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 bum. I've come to like Soseki's character.
Yes, he knows that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again.
Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place. Dun, dun, dun. Ah, perhaps. That may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps and his tenants' movements. True? You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in pipes. Gas, oh gas. There must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms.
What do you mean? He pays so much attention to the gas lamps.
Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please forget I said anything. No, he needs to know. Maybe he has some information.
Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well.
What's important is that Mr. Shamspit isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come round and he's able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released.
Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right.
Excuse me.
I knew it.
Excuse me. Inspector Gregson.
I couldn't help overhearing what you just said. And on that note, I have some good news and some bad news.
Now Hodo likes to start with the bad news, if I remember right.
Oh,
Which you want first?
always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle.
Right, well, in that case, the good news is,
Huh?
sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way.
Then why did you ask me for my preference?
The good news or the bad news is such a classic English thing, isn't it?
As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspeare, was just unconscious. He's come round now.
Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory.
He's still being treated by the doctors, but we've managed to get a written statement from him already.
Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume?
Oh, thank goodness, it's all over then. I can leave this somber cell.
Sorry, no, that's not on the cards.
What?
Why ever not, Inspector?
Mr. Shamspeare has implicated somebody as being responsible for what happened last night.
Implicated someone? Oh dear!
You don't mean?
I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume.
Oh,
By sweet poison did he seeketh to end my life. That wicked caitiff. So second Natsume.
No!
So I'm afraid he'll be appearing in court as planned. He'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations.
no!
He does the same damage thing as Gregson. And so, once again, Soseki-san was found himself having to take the dock in the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted, or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I knew I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court, and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. To be continued. Okay. What was the one for the first game? Is that? I've got time to continue playing. Okay, here's my plan. I think I'll stop here, have dinner. I might have to do some stuff after that, but then I'll return to the game, I think, at that point. Alright. Actually, no. I'm interested to see if they are still going to use the old music in the trial. I do wonder, where is the new soundtrack? I'm not sure. I think once we hit the present day, though, I'm going to change all the costumes to the new Ace Attorney, the Great Ace Attorney 2 costumes. Because obviously it doesn't make sense to switch it when it's in the past. But yeah, anyway, that's it for now. I shall stop streaming.